Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to War Thunder. The first thing that might be going through your mind right now is, oh my goodness, after all the heavy criticism of wargaming, has Ricky quit World of Tanks? The answer to that is no. I have not quit World of Tanks. I will be staying, playing World of Tanks. I will still be making content for World of Tanks. But me playing War Thunder is a sign though. And it's a sign to World of Tanks or Wargaming that I can't get my tank fix. I can't get the fix I want from their game. For me, War Thunder scratches an itch that World of Tanks cannot do at the moment. It used to, and that's the important thing to note here, it used to. So it's not that I've got some kind of desire that has never been met by the game and I'm expecting Wargaming to do exactly what I want them to do. That's not really the case, because their game used to. And this is my first non-review video since Tankfest, and I'm currently waiting on Wargaming to tell me how much I can say about it. But the early days of Cold War, Era 3 specifically, used to be the place where I got this fix, and sadly that is not the case now. Like I've said, I'm waiting on Wargaming to tell me what I can say from Tankfest, because believe me, I spent so much time talking to the devs at Tankfest that I missed every single morning of arena tank shows at Tankfest. I missed every single morning because I was talking about the game, asking questions, getting answers, and having back and forth with various people about the game. So it was a very busy time. Very, very busy. But I do want to address the fact that there are things that World of Tanks is just not doing right now. There are things that Wargaming are doing that are not exactly what the game used to be. It's not what it used to be, and I'd love it to be what it used to be. But right now, it's not. So I have to play something that is what I want it to be, and that is where War Thunder comes in. So this is not going to be a scathing, pulling World of Tanks down. It's not. This is going to be a very, well, it'll be as long as it'll be, but this is basically me talking about the things that War Thunder does right, the things that I think it does wrong, and the same with Wargaming and World of Tanks, the things that they get right and the things that they get wrong. So let's start off with War Thunder then. What does it for me in War Thunder that World of Tanks doesn't do right now? Well, first of all, I can do things like this. Yes, I was in the equivalent, or I am in the equivalent of a tier 6. And I just killed an Era 3 heavy. And at the same level of gameplay, I do it again. Like, this is something that you just can't do in a live multiplayer game in World of Tanks. And I love it. This is exactly the sort of thing that I love about online gaming, is these sandbox environments where you can do, call it dumb, call it ridiculous, call it unfair to my team, call it whatever you want. But this memory, right here, that memory is going to stay with me for a very long time, because I achieved something that is very, very difficult to do. War Thunder allows me the freedom to do crazy things like this. Now, obviously, you're not going to do this every time. Absolutely no way. There's no way you can take a VK3002 into a battle that's got, Challenger 1s, T-72s, Leopard 2A4s. There's no way you're going to do that every time. But the one time that you do, you're like, ha, awesome. I did that. That felt great. And it's those kind of moments for me that will keep me playing the game, because it's like I got that unique experience that was amazing, it was special, it was awesome. The game allowed me to do that. The game devs invited me to do that. They allowed me the space to do that. And 99% of the time, you're not going to do that, like I've said. But that one time in the morning when you wake up and you're in a nutty mood, the game accommodates you. And I think that's amazing. I think it's great for the game developers to do that. World of Tanks, on the other hand, with World of Tanks, it did used to be like this. I want to say 7 years ago, 8 years ago, it used to be like this. We used to have the freedom, but in the name of fairness and not wanting to upset people, I think Wargaming have babied the community, and they've taken away freedoms like this, which I think is a shame. But on the other hand, having spoken to these guys, I understand their reasoning for doing what they've done. I don't agree with it, but I can say, yeah, okay, I can see where you're coming from, but I don't necessarily agree with it. And one thing I did say to the guys at Tankfest was, please stop trying to please everyone, because that's the way the game feels like it's going at the moment. They're so nervous about doing things that might upset people that nothing seems to get done. Premium tanks is a good example. Like they don't want to change premium tanks because, you know, you've spent real money on them. You have, and we're not going to change a product that you've spent real money on. That's a very noble and respectable thing to do from a business point of view. But at the same time, holding on to that principle means that you're negatively impacting so many other people. So many other people. So the minority of people that will get upset, because you can't please everybody, you just can't. The minority of people that you'll upset, you're scared of them and you don't want to, oh, we don't want to do that, we don't want to do that. It's like, well, you got to do something, because people are uninstalling, people are leaving. Your intentions are noble, but I don't think the end result is exactly what you want it to be. So, yeah, there is that. Another thing that I've noticed fairly recently about the World of Tanks situation is handing out Pascucci medals to anyone that kills one artillery. That's not an achievement that deserves a medal. It really isn't. I know why it's there. I know why this is the case now. But let's take the medal away, or assign it to something else, or, I don't know. Handing out a medal to somebody for simply participating in a game and killing an artillery. We don't need participation trophies. We don't need to be babied. We don't need to be, have our, hold our hands everywhere. Give us some real tough things to do and then award us with medals. That's what I'd like to see. That's what the game used to be. Now, with all that said, World of Tanks and Wargaming, they don't get everything wrong. One thing I do prefer in World of Tanks is I prefer the way tanks handle. I prefer the way Wargaming do the handling of tanks. And I prefer the way that maps are traversed in World of Tanks. I've had a couple of instances, like this one here actually, where I've attempted to drive over some small rocks in my Panther or my Tiger just to grind to a halt and get stuck. And then when you combine that with some terribly painful reverse speeds, and I'm talking like 2 or 3 miles an hour, yeah, there are moments when playing War Thunder and it is just the biggest pain in the ass. And you question, why on earth am I playing this game? Why am I sitting through this agony? Oh, so yes, War Thunder does have its pain points. It absolutely has its pain points. And I do like the way that Wargaming does the movement, the tank movement, the topography, the way the tanks traverse over things. I really do prefer the way Wargaming does it. So it's not all bad. It is not all bad. There are things that are annoying about War Thunder. There are things that are annoying about World of Tanks. So there's some balance between these two games. And one thing I do want to do from this video, or if I do more War Thunder videos, what I want to do is I want to provide ideas and customization ideas, gameplay ideas, map ideas, tank ideas to Wargaming based on what's happening outside of their bubble. An example of what I'm talking about is, I'm talking about camouflage. I'm talking about tank customization. Now, I'm not talking about what we have right now, which is, oh, we need more emblems. We don't. More inscriptions. No, we don't. No one really cares. More flags. Whatever. I don't particularly care about flags. Partly because in True Vision, if I've got a thing flapping on top of my tank, that I may as well have a sign that says, hey, I'm over here. I'm not interested. Don't care about that. One thing that I do really like that War Thunder does is it allows you to really personalize your camo schemes. So what do I mean by that? Well, you've got camo rotation, you've got camo scale, and you've got camo condition. So if you want to, you can turn the condition of your camo all the way up and make it look brand new, like it's just rolled out the factory. Or you can turn the scale all the way down the other end and you can make it look like it's been in battle for the last 3 years. It's worn out, it's worn down, and it's barely there. You can also rotate the camo. You can scale the camo, which means that you can have the same camo scheme as somebody else, but you've rotated it slightly, so your tank looks different. You can change the scale of it. You can zoom into the camo, you can zoom out of the camo. So even though 3 players have the same camo scheme applied, their tanks will look incredibly different. And for me, that actually matters in World of Tanks, because World War II won't care, but in Cold War we have True Vision. So there is a real application for this. It's not just about, oh, I'm changing the aesthetics. I'm not just putting a new, tracksuit on my Fortnite character. No, I'm not doing that. I'm actually changing something that will have an impact on my game. This is important. This is valuable. And in all honesty, War Thunder and World of Tanks are 2 very different games, but there are things that War Thunder does that I think Wargaming and World of Tanks could use, because they do have, they've got real applications. There's a reason for doing this sort of thing. It actually matters. And stuff like this, I think, is going to have more... The more time goes by, the more I think this stuff is really going to matter, because War Thunder, World of Tanks, 2 very different games. War Thunder has simulator capacity, World of Tanks has more arcade. And in no way am I expecting World of Tanks to follow War Thunder's, follow in their footsteps. No way. World of Tanks is never going to be a simulator. I don't want it to be a simulator. But what I do want to see is Wargaming take the game in a direction that allows players more freedom. Give us Cold War maps that are 4 times bigger. The reason I say that is War Thunder tank ground battle maps, realistic battles, they're 4 kilometers square. And when you've got the speed of 42 kilometers an hour, 42 miles an hour, which I believe is like 65, 67 kilometers an hour, Cold War is a lot faster than that. I think it needs to be slowed down somewhat. But even when you're at that speed, it still takes a little while to get somewhere. And while you're on your way to wherever it is you want to go, you've got to be careful about getting shot. You've got to have your wits about you. These things are what I feel World of Tanks needs in order to keep the player base engaged, interested, because you need to stay relevant in the genre. War Thunder is on console, so if people want to play a popular tank game and they're on console, they've got War Thunder and they've got World of Tanks Modern Armor. Now, branding as World of Tanks Modern Armor is good, but you need to make the playing experience of Leopards, Abrams, Challengers, you need to make it worthwhile, and all of these tanks and more are in War Thunder. So the question you need to answer is, why play World of Tanks when War Thunder's available, especially when War Thunder has arcade battles? Why play World of Tanks when War Thunder's there? Bigger maps, better customization, more vehicle variety. If you can come up with a response that is compelling, then you will give people a reason to stay. That is the thing that I think World of Tanks needs to do right now. You need to provide a reason why your game is relevant. Why is this game relevant? I know it is. I know it has been in the past. I know it can be in the future. And I also know that the new leadership at Wargaming is hot on making sure the game stays relevant, stays up to date, and we see more content more often. I know that for a fact. So, with all that said, that's all I've got for this video. I will still be playing World of Tanks. I'll carry on playing War Thunder. I'll make videos on War Thunder as and when I want to. I'll stream it as and when I want to. But don't worry, guys. I am still going to be playing World of Tanks. Okay, folks. That's all I've got for this one. If you've enjoyed this War Thunder video, then let me know in the comments below. Drop the video a like, a dislike if you haven't. Well, like it if you have liked it. Dislike if you haven't. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll catch you in the next one.